Welcome to another week, another show of Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Thanks for tuning in. Got another great show lined up for you this week, and I know you'll think so after watching it. Oh, by the way, besides Joe Mershman, Hawkeye insider David Eichholt, joining me and Jeff Horner for basketball, wedged in the middle there if we can with two very large guys. Ike Budker, who we had on last week, former Iowa Hawkeye and now current Buffalo Bill, and Tristan Wirfs. Going to have to expand our screen tonight. Yes, that Tristan Wirfs, Super Bowl champion, former Iowa Hawkeye, and now Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So all that lined up for you. Next week, Parker Hesse's going to join me, a former Iowa Hawkeye great from Waukon, Iowa, my home area around Postville, Castelia. So got a lot of the former great Hawkeyes joining us, not just basketball, but now football. We've had James Vandenberg, and now we've got Tristan Wirfs, Ike Budker, and the list will continue to go on and on. So that being said, I've located my buddy Joe Mershman, and there he is. Joe, how's everything going with you, my friend?
Much better than last week, Dave.
Amen to that. The weather's finally warmed up. So you had a chance. We recorded this out of sequence, and you had a chance to talk to Ike Budker and Tristan Wirfs. Give me your takeaway on these great Hawkeyes, former Hawkeyes that we have on the program.
Well, it really goes back to Chad Greenway. I heard him speak once, and he talked about the Iowa program, how the focus is on developing good men. Now, yes, obviously they'd like to see some go to the NFL, and I can tell you after talking to them that they came from the Iowa program. They're good people, good men, and very good representatives of our state and the university, no question about it.
You agreed with you on that, Joe, and I've had many conversations with James Vandenberg, the former Hawkeye quarterback, who was on this show for the first part of it earlier this year, saying the same thing. So, Joe, great as always, and you and I are both very happy because KFXA Fox 28 is happy. Our viewers have made us number one on KFXA again on Friday nights, 10 o'clock, thanks to the viewers as well, right, Joe?
No question about it. You're really popular, Dave.
Well, what can I say? With your help, this first segment always makes it that way, Joe. So, hey, we'll catch up with more farmer news with you next week and Iowa Hawkeyes, and look forward to it, my friend. Thanks, Joe.
All right, take care.
And I've located David Eichholt, our buddy. You can see on the screen right there. HawkeyeInsider.com's very own David Eichholt. All his info at the bottom of the screen along with mine. First and foremost is David. Got to get right to it again, tight for time. First and foremost, as always, thanks for joining us. And secondly, how's everything going? I know you had a press availability as we record this on Tuesday afternoon. The Hawkeyes will have played Michigan already on Thursday night by the time the viewers see this on Friday. But let's remember the Hawks also play at Ohio State on Sunday. I'm out of the way. Go.
Talk about a big opportunity for this Iowa team. Jordan Bohannon, during the press availability, said that they think they deserve a 1 seed, but they know they have to take care of business this week. So their goal is obviously to go 2-0. And I think if you can win back-to-back road games against Ohio State and Michigan, numbers 3 and 4 in the country, it's going to be hard for me to argue that you don't deserve a 1 seed, especially with Iowa's resume and the superstar headliner that they have in likely National Player of the Year, Luka Garza. So huge opportunity this week for the team. And from all accounts from the press conference, they certainly seem locked in the task.
That's great to hear. Iowa number 9 right now in the national polls, and it's interesting that they moved up 2 spots because of Virginia's loss and University of Houston's loss. Ohio State loses to Michigan, doesn't drop at all. They still stay at number 4 behind Michigan's number 3. What a classic that was on Sunday. Give me 5-10 seconds on that, David.
Really interesting, Dave. Quick stat for you. Ohio State's third in offensive efficiency compared to Iowa's first, but they're actually 15 spots worse than Iowa in defensive efficiency. So Iowa feels like they should have won that game. And they'll certainly have another opportunity on Sunday.
Cannot wait to see that national TV, as we know. David, as always, thank you so much. So much to talk about. Hawks had big victories last week. We'll get more into that when we've got more time next week. Of course, then we'll talk about the upcoming Nebraska makeup game at Carver Hawkeye, and then the Hawks close out the regular season against Wisconsin. And can't wait to talk about that in the upcoming Big Ten tournament. Hoping for that double bye, as always, David. So thank you so much, my friend.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Appreciate it as always.
You're very welcome, and thank you. So for David Eichholt, this is Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. We'll be back with more. Remember, Ike Budker, Tristan Wirfs, NFLers, former Hawkeyes, Super Bowl champion Tristan Wirfs, and we'll close out the show with Jeff Horner. Back with more Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara, in a few moments.
One word means more to farmers than any other: yield. Nobody knows this better than your friend in the field, Mershman Seeds. With industry-leading seed treatments like Tripidity ST, you'll see faster emergence and more bushels per acre. Become a part of the Mershman family and see the difference in your field. Ask your dealer for superiority. Mershman Seeds.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. And as you can see, I'm going to get right to it on the screen with me. It's a full screen. To my left, your viewer right, Tristan Wirfs, Super Bowl champion. Let's get that out of the way first. Former Iowa Hawkeye, former Mount Vernon Mustang, and current Tampa Bay Buccaneer and Super Bowl champion, and the guy that made it all happen at the bottom of the screen, our buddy Ike Butker. Ike out of Cedar Falls High School, Cedar Falls Tiger, former Iowa Hawkeye, and now Buffalo Bill. So first and foremost, Ike, since you originated all this and you're back for week 2 with me on video, liked it so much you came back. But secondly, thank you so much for joining us. But most importantly, thanks for being back yourself, but bringing Tristan with you. So how you doing, Ike?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. And thanks for having me, Dave.
My pleasure. Well, Tristan, you're here. Man, I'll tell you, there's so much to get to. And look at that smile. Super Bowl champion. Have you gotten used to that yet?
I mean, it's still kind of crazy. It don't feel real yet. You know, it's just been incredible.
Man, congratulations. Huge deal. State of Iowa, all of eastern Iowa, where you're from, Mount Vernon, Cedar Rapids area, all very proud of you. Ike came a game away from playing in the Super Bowl. What would have that been like, Ike? You and Tristan would have been on both on offensive sides of the ball, but man, look at Tristan laughing. What would that have been like, Ike?
I texted him the night before, and I'm like, let's get it done. Worst held up his end of the deal, but we just fell a little short. Hopefully next year.
Well, Tristan, before we get to Tom Brady, the Super Bowl, the championship, obviously we're here to talk with you first. Oh yeah, by the way, you play with a moderately famous quarterback, and you're protecting him, and you know, in his own right, Josh Allen doing a great job with the Bills and Ike Butker. But before we get to that, I talked to Ike last week on radio, and you're going to be kind enough to join me on WMT. It aired last week, and WMT and KXIC, you and Ike are going to do the radio version. So viewers, please go to DaveO'HaraSports.com for all the past radio shows and videos that I've had with Ike, now Tristan, and TV and radio as well. But Tristan, Ike told me, he said, what a freak. That's all I've heard about you off the field when you're playing football. As Ike's smiling here, I said, tell me about Tristan Wirfs. He said, Dave, a freak. We all knew he was ready for the NFL when he walked on a campus at Iowa. Now tell me on the air what you said when I said that to you, Tristan.
I was like, well, I might have had a little baby fat on me when I walked on campus. But yeah, it's, you know, I kind of took me under his wing when I got on campus. But I think I was still a little bit of a little kid, you know, right when I got on campus.
So, Ike, you had a problem with your Achilles, as we talked about, in a senior year in that game against Iowa State, so game and a half in. But you got to beat your team, the Iowa Hawkeyes, beat your quarterback now, Josh Allen, when it was at Wyoming. But talk about that when Tristan, you guys were roommates when he came in as a freshman. You mentored this guy. You went through all the rigors of being an Iowa player. Talk about that for a little bit, and then Tristan, so be careful what you say here, Ike, because then Tristan's going to give me his version.
Yeah, so, I mean, I just love how Iowa always set that up in camp. I had great mentors when I was young. I roomed with Sheriff and CJ Fedoris my first 2 years. So, I mean, what greater guys to look up to. So I just learned so much from them and, you know, tried to carry that on as I got older and was, you know, a starter and playing. But Wirfs was just such a great guy and an easy guy to talk to, fun, and just, you know, considered him a great friend from day one, which is not super common, freshman and a senior. Mm-hmm. But he was, you know, mature. He can say he's goofy, but he's still goofy. I'm still goofy. You know, we haven't really changed very much. So, has he grown up and matured? You know, as everybody does, yes. But just coming into college, he had a great mindset, and, you know, everything about him, I knew he was going to be successful if he just stayed at it, and he did. And I one quick story, I remember walking with his mom after a game when I was hurt. So I randomly just ran into her on the side of the road. And I just remember telling her, like, just stay on him because he'll go as far as he wants to go. And this was when I was, a senior. So he was a freshman. And I mean, I wasn't like a wizard predicting that. I mean, it was pretty obvious, but you know, he took advantage, and so proud and so happy for him.
Tristan, your thoughts?
It's funny because, like, I still have all these memories from my freshman year. Like, or reported. So me and Ike were like, our lockers were next to each other, and he sent me a Twitter DM. And he just sent me a picture of our two lockers next to each other. And I tell you what, I freaked out. I was so excited. I showed my mom the picture, you know, and kind of from like I said, he kind of took me under his wing. I remember, we were roommates in camp, and then at practice, like every day, I was just like watching what he did, trying to just like, just kind of emulate that. And I never forget like that Iowa State game when he went down. It was I was dressed, but I didn't play. But I remember watching it happen, and my stomach dropped to my feet. I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, "I go in," because it was a close. I think it was a close game.
Yeah.
I was like, they're gonna put me in, and I'm gonna like lose us the game. But I was scared. But they ended up doing that. But even after that, like the whole rest of the year, like I was on the, he'd be on the sidelines at practice, and I'd come off. He'd be like, "All right, what'd you see?" He's like, "Well, what rush did they give you?" Stuff like that. Just always kind of helped me out the whole time. And so it was just awesome.
All right, I got to ask you, Tristan. I've waited this long into the interview, and Ike and I talked about this last week on the air and off the air. You're prolific on video, jumping out of a pool, your weight room workouts with the team surrounding you, and you breaking records in the workout room. Talk about your experience. Ike and I talked last week a little bit about Chris Doyle, and obviously that has changed since Ike and I talked the week before, and he left Iowa with all that controversy. We're not going to get into that. That's another time for another show, and that's not to minimize what other guys went through. Ike became another person, grew into another person. You already came in, developed. Ike was a tight end quarterback or a tight end at Iowa, and they put 100 pounds on him. You were ready to rock and roll. What was your experience like? And then you said you still talk to Chris Doyle now, and what happened to him in Jacksonville? He took the job, then he resigned because of all the backlash. But don't want to get into that specifically, but talk about your experience when you said you still talk to Coach Doyle and Brian Ferentz and Kirk Ferentz. What was that like for you to be in the room with those guys?
Yeah, so I love Coach Doyle to death. And I didn't necessarily have like put on 100 pounds there. I kind of just like changed, he just completely changed me pretty much. Like body wise, like I said, I had like a bunch of baby fat on me still and everything. And then, I think if you look at pictures from like my freshman year and then to when I left my junior year, like he just completely changed everything, just developed me like crazy. And I was all for it. I have so many stories of Coach Doyle. There'd be days where we talk about the hang clean, so there'd be days where, it wouldn't be even a max out day. I'd just be hang cleaning, and he'd be like, we'd have three sets of four or whatever. I'd be done, and he'd be like, put, he told me to put another plate on. I'd be like, okay, do it. Like, all right, put a 20. All right. And all these guys were like halfway, 3/4 done with their lifts. And I'm still cleaning, he knew what I could do. Like, I didn't know, but I think he wanted me to know. He'd be like, you could do it. And especially when I was like leading up to the breaking the record, he's like, he'd tell me to put something on, and I'd be like, okay, and I would do it. And it was funny. He always told me, he's like, do it as fast as you can, or try and do it as fast as you can. And it was weird. I have some videos of it on my phone, and I was like, looking back, I was like, how did I do that? But it's just, I had so much trust in him, and I knew he wasn't going to steer me wrong or, do anything to get me hurt. Because he knew, he knows what he's doing. But it's just, it's awesome. I love Coach Doyle, and I kind of owe, all this, he put all this on. But yeah, I love him.
Well, I appreciate your candor in that, and we wish him the best, and it's great to hear you guys talk about your experience at Iowa in that way. Wasn't for everybody, but it was for you, and I greatly appreciate that. So let's do this. Ike, you and I talked about this last week, so Tristan, we're putting you on the chopping block again. So not only are you a rookie going into the NFL, okay, so the draft day didn't go as particularly planned, but then boom, all of a sudden you're at the Buccaneers. You're there. Oh, by the way, Tom Brady's there. Yes, Josh Allen's a great quarterback, young quarterback for the Bills, not taking anything away from him, but this is Tom Blanken Brady. So he shows up. So I got to know, Tristan, your numbers are prolific in offensive, and Ike tweeted this out, your buddy, the other day. You had 499 snaps in the NFL this year. Would you have 1 sack and 1 holding penalty? Am I right on that, Ike? Was that the numbers that you put out for Tristan?
It was more than that, but yeah. I don't remember the exact numbers, but.
And you graded out as high as anybody else in the Super Bowl, with almost 92% at your position, 91.7. So obviously the pressure didn't get to you. You know, as an offensive lineman, I talked about it last week. The only time you get your name mentioned besides being on this show is if you give up a sack or get caught for holding. Did you have any pressure at all with hey, that's Tom Brady. If you give up a sack, he ends his career. It's Tristan Wirfs behind that caused that. What are your thoughts on that?
I tell you what, damn near every snap, that's what I was thinking, you know. 'Cause I remember, okay, so the phone call, I remember getting the phone call on draft night, and BA said, he's like, hey, baby, he's like, you ready to protect Tom?
You got to love Bruce Arians, by the way. Yeah.
He's like, you ready to protect Tom Brady? And I was like, I don't know if I am right now, but I was like, I'll get there, you know, I'll get there. But yeah, you know, Tom Brady, you know, he's probably the best quarterback to ever play the game. So I was like, you know, and I love Tom, but you know, he's 43, and I was like, I don't want to get him hit. So I just did everything I could to keep his jersey clean on Sundays. But it's like, I think I put a lot more pressure on myself than anyone else, you know, I put more pressure on myself personally than I think other people were putting pressure on me. Just because I didn't want to come in and not live up to expectations or anything like that. I was just trying to go out there and keep Tom safe. You know, that was pretty much my whole mindset going into the game.
And who could blame you? And I got to ask you, Ike, because you and I are just laughing. We're just going, you know, rolling our eyes going, man. But I do have to say this. We got just a few minutes left with you two. And now that I got you on camera and I can hold your feet to the fire on this, is there any way I can have you guys back again in the next week or two? Because we've already chewed up a segment. I'm going a little extra. Is that okay for both of you at some point in time in the near future, Tristan, Ike?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
awesome.
Next week, but we'll get it in.
Good, because I'll have Jeff Horner take it out on you guys. You all were little kids when Jeff was playing basketball at Iowa, so you're taking him and Jess Settle's time away, and they're bigger than me, so I'll leave it up to them to straighten it out with YouTube. I think you'll be fine. But Tristan, you mentioned BA as Bruce Arians, your head coach, and a guy like Brady. So as we close out here, I'm going to talk to you first, Ike, about what it's like being around a leader like Josh Allen, and then Tristan, I want to hear your thoughts on Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski. You know, obviously he won Super Bowls. Nobody like Brady. 10 appearances in Super Bowls of his 21 years. 7 wins as a Super Bowl champion. 5 as an MVP. By the way, I got to repeat it. Congratulations, you're a Super Bowl champion, Tristan. But what's that like for you, being with Josh Allen, Ike, a young guy on the rise, hoping to be Tom Brady? What does he bring to your huddle and your practice facility and locker room, Josh Allen?
I think so many similarities to what you see from Tom, just in a younger, you know, shell. He's got a lot more physical tools than maybe Brady has, and then his mental growth just through the 3 years I've been with him has been incredible. So, you know, he looks at a guy like Tom Brady and sees how he mentally handles the game, and then he just, you know, gains more of that every year as his physical. You know, he's still got a long time with his physical body being great, but you know, he's probably 26, 27. That's, you know, like almost a teenager's life away from Tom Brady. So, you know, I think all quarterbacks look up to a guy like Tom, and it's fun just talking to Josh about what he's learned his first, you know, 3 years in the NFL and what he takes away from guys like that, watching a guy like Tom on tape.
All right, Tristan, what's Tom Terrific bring to the table? What do you glean from a leader like that?
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy just the way that he like kind of controls practice. You know, everyone just, it's like he's a general, you know, everyone just gravitates towards him and like they listen, if he wants to do, you know, sometimes you want to have a higher tempo in practice, you know, get things moving faster. It's like, you know, he'll say it and it happens like that. And I think the same thing, you know, just being around him, like in meetings or, you know, he'll say something in meetings, you know, to the wide receivers, you know, a way he wants to have something run, or cause he's seen everything there is to see, you know, for offenses. But then in games, you know, it's like a flip, you know, he switches because he's super cool to talk to, like in the locker room, like outside, you know, off the field. Then, you know, when he's on the field, he means business. Just, he's super intense, you know, super locked in. But it's just been awesome to be able to be in the huddle with him and kind of, I just try and be a sponge, you know, and just absorb as much as I can.
Yeah, you don't say, hey, you might want to try this, Tom. Yeah, you kind of be led. Both of you just cracked up when I said that. Guys, I can't believe the time goes so quickly. I went extended time. I thank you both so much. We're going to be on the radio again. Viewers, go to DaveO'HaraSports.com to hear all of Tristan, Ike, and me. And Tristan and Ike, we're going to rearrange this and have us all back together again very soon. There he is. Mr. Iowa right there, Super Bowl champion Tristan Wirfs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneer. Ike Butker at the bottom of the screen. Ike with the Buffalo Bills. Going to be in that Super Bowl soon. Guys, thank you both so much, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Dave.
My pleasure. Please stay tuned. We'll close out the show. Back with more Dave O'Hara Sports in just a few moments. Hawkeyed with me.
Farming makes a positive difference in my life. I love to take care of the yards and the flowers in the garden, but I also like the opportunity that I have now that I can get in the combine and help when they need that. During the fall, one of the main things that I take care of is hauling grain to the elevator or hauling it here onto the farm and getting it in the bins. Women in general just have more opportunities that they can show their strengths today on the farm.
Welcome back to Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. And as I'm pointing at the screen, you see my buddy Jeff Horner joining me as always. Jeff into year 3, and I'm getting ready to wrap up year 3 very successfully. So with the Division II Truman State Bulldogs, and going to talk some Iowa Hawkeyes with Jeff, obviously, and Iowa Hawkeye basketball. A lot of history, landmarks being, and records being broken and soon to be broken. Jeff and I have talked about in the past, and we'll talk about again. But Jeff, first and foremost, as always, my friend, thanks for joining us. And secondly, how's everything going with you? Have the national rankings come out yet here on Tuesday afternoon as this airs on Friday? Did you guys move up from 6? And if you did, where are you located?
Yep, thanks for having me. We actually last week we moved up to number 5, and then this week 2 teams in the top 5 lost, so we actually moved up to number 3 today. It just came out a few minutes ago, so just excited and pumped about that.
Oh, you should be. Congratulations. That's awesome. You see me fist pumping in the air there. And I'll tell you this, too. We haven't talked to you in a couple weeks. So, yeah, last I saw you were 6, so then you were 5, now number 3. So back where you belong. And you've been on a heater. 11 games now, right? And you're 16-1 in the regular season. You're going to wrap up your regular season upcoming. By the time the viewers see this, you'll only have 1 game left. So you play this Thursday and Saturday. And then you're going to be rolling into the postseason, conference tournament, and the national tournament. How you feeling right now? How you looking? How's the team looking? How's the team feeling?
Feeling pretty good. So I gave the guys a couple more days off here this past couple days, and then tested this morning. And so, with kind of the rules, that type of stuff, we wanted to keep guys away from each other, those types of things. And, got 2 days of practice here before we play Rockhurst on Thursday. And then we got Southwest Baptist for our regular season finale on Saturday. And guys are feeling good, and we're just ready to go.
That's fantastic. So as we record this on Tuesday afternoon, again, airs on Friday, want to let everybody know, full disclosure here, the Hawkeyes have moved up from number 11 into number 9. Interesting how the national media has the respect for the Big Ten, with Michigan or Ohio State losing that tight game to Michigan this last weekend. Top 5 stays the same the top 5, and you've got Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Ohio State, and then Illinois. 3 of the top 5 are Big Ten teams. You put Iowa in there at number 9 now. What a rogues gallery, what a schedule. Hawkeyes with big victories the last week or so since we've talked to you. And then they've got upcoming, by the time the viewers see this, Michigan on Thursday night at Michigan. You've played at Chrysler Arena. You know what that's like. And then, of course, Ohio State on Sunday on national TV on the road after Ohio State beat the Hawks in a tough one where the Hawks had that game in hand, let it slip away. Ohio State has beaten Iowa now once, so Hawks got to get a revenge game. And then, of course, closing out the season, we'll talk about this next week, the makeup game with Nebraska at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and then to close out the regular season at home against Wisconsin after beating Wisconsin last week. So give me your takeaway on what's ahead for the Hawks.
Yeah, obviously 2 big games coming up with Michigan and Ohio State, ranked 3 and 4 in the country. They're definitely going to find out more of what they're made of. Obviously they haven't played Michigan yet, so, everybody's going to be tuning in to watch that. But I think, it's going to be one of those things where, you have a chance to move up with Big Ten seeding, tournament seeding, and then you also have a chance to move up maybe with NCAA seeding and see where that takes you. So I think those 2 games are extremely important for Iowa to, not only get the confidence that they can play with top 5 teams in the country, but move their seeds up as well.
That's going to be some fun viewing. So, Jeff, the obvious 800-pound elephant in the room, Luka Garza breaks the Iowa Hawkeye scoring record all-time over Roy Marlborough. God rest Roy's soul. Rest in peace, my friend. But we got Jordan Bohannon, appropriately enough, gave the assist to Luka Garza to break the record on that basket. Speaking of Jordan Bohannon, only 3 away from breaking your record. He's at 610. You're at 612 career. Records are made to be broken, but you got to be happy about that. These Hawks playing well this year. And as you told me on radio yesterday, your name has been at the top of the record books and many other meaningful offensive statistical categories in Iowa basketball history. So still pretty cool your record is held for the last 15 years. So how you feeling with Jordan ready to break that record of yours?
Yeah, I'm really happy for him. I think the assist record means, a lot, because I keep telling people, it's giving your teammates, baskets, or helping give your teammates baskets. And, I think that's the biggest thing when you're a basketball player, is the joy in seeing others succeed. If you're a true teammate and you have true chemistry on your team, and our team definitely had that. So, I know he's excited about it, and I texted him, or I sent him a message on Twitter, just saying, hey, cheering for you down here and hope things go well, and that type of thing. And wouldn't want to have it any other way. A guy that's done it right, stayed out of trouble, that type of thing. And just even though he gets going a little bit on Twitter, kind of like I do sometimes, it's one of those things where he's a person, and he's going to defend himself, so he definitely has a lot of me and him, and I have some me and him, that type of thing, and just super happy for him.
Yeah, and you should be. And I'm great to hear that, and glad you are, because we all are as fans, for you, for him, for the whole program. And so what a monumental record being broken. Luka Garza over, 2,000 points for his career. The intriguing thing I want to mention, this last footnote before we say our goodbyes to you for this week. You, Dean Oliver, and Jordan Bohannon, the only Hawkeyes in history to average or to have 100 assists 4 seasons in a row. That's something else. That's otherworldly as well, isn't it? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I think we care more about what our teammates are getting. That's and we're all on successful teams as well. So I'm happy for him, and hopefully he keeps on going, and this Hawkeye team can make a run.
That's right. Consistency as always, Jeff. Thank you so much. He's Jeff Horner, former Iowa Hawkeye basketball playing great, still again at the top or near the top of most meaningful offensive statistical categories in Iowa basketball history, now into year 3 at Truman State University, number 3 in the country in Division II, and looking to move on into the conference tournament and to go into nationals. Again, Jeff, congratulations on being back-to-back regular season conference champions in the GLVC, the Great Lakes Valley Conference. Congratulations on that again, and we'll catch up with you next week, my friend.
Sounds good, Dave. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Jeff. For Jeff Horner, Ike Budker, Tristan Wirfs, David Eichel, Joe Mershman. And remember, next week, Northeast Iowa's very own Walk-On Iowa, near my hometown of Postville, Castelia. Parker Hesse, former Hawkeye great, going to be joining us now in the NFL, the Tennessee Titans. Looking forward to catching up with him. But thanks to you, the viewers, again, for making us number 1 in late night on Fox 28 KFXA. Also want to thank our advertisers and sponsors for making this show possible. So please stay tuned for the end of the rolling credits here at the end of the show, and support our advertisers and sponsors the way they support this show. So for the aforementioned guests, I'm Dave O'Hara with Hawkeye. That's all from me. Thanks to all of you.